If you don't have the down payment for the purchase of your home, don't even stress about it, because today we're going to dive in on the two most popular down payment programs available. Welcome to another episode of Community Spotlight, and I got my friend Toros, who's with Edwin Davidian's team at House America Financial. So Toros, welcome, my friend.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Of course. My name is Toros Tujan. I work with House America Financial, part of the Edwin Davidian team. I'm a mortgage loan officer. I help everybody to get the financial needs to purchase their homes and also refinance.
Very good. Well, let's dive in, because I know our viewers are eager to know about these two programs. So What is Dream program that's going to roll out in the next, month or two?
Yes.
Right? Okay, let's start off with the Dream program. What is it? How does it work? Talk to the viewers.
Of course. So the Dream program initially came out a few months ago. Mm-hmm. They had $300 million available in the funds. The program went live, and the funds finished in about 10 or so business days.
Correct.
So it was one of the most popular programs that we have ever seen.
The state was giving the down payment.
Exactly. So it gave up to 20%, no limit on the dollar amount for it. And this was statewide, not just for Southern California. The program finished. Now they made an announcement that they are going to bring it back. However, it's only $200 million allocated in the budget. We're waiting for the governor to do the final approvals on them, and they're going to make more announcements sometime in the fall. We're hoping by the end of next month, we'll hear some updates on them.
So last time when we had $300 million, it was gone in 10 days. Mm-hmm. I imagine that $200 million will be gone in 4 or 5 days at most.
I would agree.
So how does the program work? Is there any income limitations?
Yes, there's a variety of limits. Okay. One of them is an income limit.
Okay.
The income limit at the initial time, a few months ago, was about $180,000 limit.
Okay. 180 household income?
Actually qualifying income.
Okay.
Just whoever was on the loan for a household of 4.
Household of 4, okay.
Yeah.
And how does the program work? I know that you had to pay back the 20%. So let's tell them
it's a very crucial thing. It's not free money, right?
Exactly.
It's an assistance for down payment and or closing costs. So the state was giving up to 20%, and they basically, to pay it back, was shared appreciation.
Okay.
Which means they're basically your silent business partner. Right. So if you took 20%, they are now 20% your partner. So when you sell the property or refinanced or had some other factors involved, you would have to pay them back the money that they gave you, plus a percentage of the appreciation based on the value, and of course a percentage. So if they gave you 20%, you give them back 20%.
So let's talk about that. So let's say someone bought a house for $1 million. Mm-hmm. Okay. The state gave them $200,000, a full 20% as a down payment assistance. Now they have a loan of $800,000.
Correct.
Okay. If they want to refinance, the first time they refinance, it doesn't trigger them to pay back the 20%.
Correct.
Okay. So, but if they refinance a second time or do a transfer of ownership, it triggers. Okay. How does it work? The state wants a 20% off of the appraised value in the future?
Correct. So, for example, in your scenario, they bought it for $1 million. Okay. So, in a few years, let's say they sell for $1.5 million.
Okay.
So, basically, it's a $500,000 equity. Mm-hmm. So, the state's going to want 20% of that, which is $100,000, plus the initial 20% that they gave you of $200,000. Okay. So they want $300,000.
Well, it's still an advantage for the buyer, because if you didn't have the 20% in the beginning anyways, look at this, so you'd be grateful that you were on the property, and then you still have profit in there with the state as well.
Exactly. The other thing is they allowed you to put an additional 30% if you had it. So if you were pre-approved for, let's say, 1.2, now you could be approved for 1.4. So it allowed you to get into a bigger, better home, and so now you have more equity. Exactly.
Okay, good stuff. So let's talk about the FICO score. What was the minimum FICO score you need to qualify for this program?
It was about 660.
660,000, okay. And did it have to be full doc where you have to show all your documentation, or could you have done a state?
Actually, great question. It has to be full doc. Okay. It's a government-sponsored fund. So it has to be full doc, which means you need to show tax returns if you're self-employed, which we did loans with people with 1 year of tax returns, which is phenomenal.
Okay.
Your W-2s, pay stubs, bank statements for closing costs, but gifts were allowed.
Oh, okay.
So it was a phenomenal program.
Okay. what were some of the restrictions on this program?
So very, very good. The first restriction that I can think of is you have to be a first-time home buyer. So whether you or your spouse, whether they're on the loan or not, had owned a home in the last 3 years, you would not qualify.
Yeah, okay, so I want to address it because first-time home buyers is someone that has not owned a home for the last 3 years.
Correct.
Okay, in general. But specifically for this program, they're also checking your spouse's
Correct.
qualification?
Right. So if you and your spouse lived in a home that they owned in the last 3 years, even though you were not on title,
Okay.
it wouldn't count.
It's funny because I got calls when that program was rolling out from clients like, hey, Mike, the property's under my wife's name. Can I take advantage of this and buy under my name? So the answer is no. They count your spouse's information too.
Yep.
Good to know. Good to know. Now, I know this program is not out yet, and it's going to roll out in the next few months, say September, October, whenever it does. For the consumer out there that's thinking about purchasing, right? Mm-hmm. How do they get their ducks in a row? Because once it rolls out, you already got to be actively looking or hopefully about to open escrow, right? So how does the consumer get their ducks in a row?
Right. The best way is for you to be fully pre-approved ahead of time.
Okay.
That's the number one step. In order to be fully pre-approved, you guys need to contact the lender and make sure that you provide all of your income, asset documentation, your credit has to be ran. It's everything that needs to be done to be fully pre-approved, completed, so you're ready to hit the ground running once the program is announced. Because like we said earlier, it's probably going to be a few days, if a week, maybe sooner, until the money runs out.
And I would add to that, besides getting pre-approved, I would recommend having a consultation with a real estate agent or broker, defining your criteria, knowing is it realistic or not. For example, I don't want someone to say I want a house, in Glendale for $600,000 because that's not realistic, right? So you want to make sure everything is set where you start actively looking maybe a week or two before the program actually rolls out. Now, just know you're not going to have too much time to be picky. You see a property, you like it, you got to be aggressive.
Exactly.
Because the money is going to be gone in 5 days, and it is what it is.
Yeah, we had a situation where somebody got into escrow on the Friday where the money ran out, and it was too late.
Wow.
The money had run out. They made the announcement like literally 30 minutes before, and then we got the call from the agent saying the offer got accepted, and that was the worst call that I had to make and say, I'm sorry.
That emotional...
it was terrible. It was terrible.
It's unfortunate. But like you said, everyone has to get their ducks in a row the right way. 5 days is nothing. Even if it's 5 days, we're assuming it could be 3 days.
Yeah.
200 million is nothing.
Because the program has already been out and has proved to be a success and the funds available, everybody is going to be all over it.
And it's not just LA, folks. It's statewide.
Yeah, that's why it ran out so quickly.
Got it. Well, okay, so let's switch gears because I know this is the dream program we're talking about, right?
Which will come out in a few months, hopefully.
Okay, now, I heard that there is a program called MIPA.
Yes.
MIPA, which is LA County Down Payment Assistance, or what is it? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, it's actually for the city of LA. City of LA.
Okay.
So MIPA stands for Moderate Income Down Payment Assistance. Okay. So there are similar requirements as to the DREAM program.
Okay.
Right. But different. So the income limits are based on the number of people in your household. Does not matter if they're on the loan or not. So, and you have to prove them.
What do you mean?
You have to show up to 3 years of tax returns.
3 years?
3 years of tax returns to prove that you or your spouse have not owned a home as a first-time home buyer by not having any interest deductions. Number of dependents being listed. Of course, there's rules, like if you have like a parent that's living with you that's not on your tax returns, there's ways to get around that, right? And to make them understand.
Okay.
So for a family household of 4, instead of it being 180 like it was on the other one, it's about 150.
150.
Yes. Okay. And anybody over the age of 18, if they work, their income counts towards this, whether they're on the loan or not. So it's very, very restrictive.
Interesting.
This program is specifically designed to help a specific sector of families, and they are really aiming towards that.
Got it.
So first-time home buyer, limited limit, and this program is not up to 20% per se. It's up to $115,000 of shared appreciation.
Okay, so the county still wants to take profit. Is that how?
Yeah, exactly. So the city is going to give you up to $115,000 for closing costs and down payment, and they're going to take the similar type of shared appreciation percentage as it was in the other program. So it's the city, not the state.
One thing I forgot: the Dream program, you're not making any payments for that 20% down.
Correct.
Yeah, I just want to make sure everyone understands that stuff.
Both of them,
interest. You're not paying nothing until the time comes where either you're refinancing, you're selling the property, or there's a transfer ownership.
Exactly. And this has the same requirements where there's no payments, no interest being accrued because it's shared appreciation.
So what do they take though? What does the city take?
If you took 10%, they are going to take 10% of the equity. If the 115,000 was 20%, then they're going to take 20% of the equity.
Got it.
Major difference in the shared appreciation, which is really, really cool, is with the Dream program, it didn't matter if you did upgrades, remodel, and your value went up because of that. With the MIPA program, if you did it and you got permits through the city and it's documented, they will deduct that from the equity.
So, okay, let's break it down so the viewers, you and I speak the same language, right? I want the viewers to understand it. So let's say you bought a house for $500,000 as an example, and you decide with your own funds to add another 200-300 square footage, or you remodel the property. Basically, your property appreciated in value. So now let's just say it's worth $1 million, right? Because of the funds you spent on your own. Guess what? With the Dream program, the state didn't care if you did the remodeling or not. They want that full 20% off of the appreciated amount.
From the purchase price till the
Now. And did they even calculate the cost, like selling costs, none of that? They didn't care. They just want the 20%. Wow. Okay, so but with MIPA, they actually do take that into consideration.
Yes.
Okay,
so if you put permits to do all the work, it has to be the permits. So let's say down your example, 500,000, they put 200,000 to do the 300 square foot addition.
Correct.
So technically, your initial investment is 700,000. And also, when you sell the property, they're going to take into account your closing costs, your agent fees, your closing costs, all that stuff. So about 6-7%, whatever that may be, plus that. So now your shared appreciation is far less. So it's actually a phenomenal program because of that. It is much harder to qualify for, however, than the Dream program.
Sure.
But it's a great program, and it has to be in the city of LA.
Define that. Okay.
Yes, which I'm yeah, exactly. So like for example, Tahunga, it's an unincorporated area of LA.
Correct.
It counts. Glendale, no, it does not count. So check with your agents, check with the lender to make sure that this property is listed as in the as city of LA.
Okay.
So it qualifies.
What's the minimum FICO score for this program?
660 as well.
660 and full doc.
Same thing with the full doc. Like I said, 3 year tax returns.
Right.
Even though they will only use, if you're self-employed and you qualify with the 1 year tax return program, they will only use 1 year of the income.
Got it.
This program, some of the pitfalls are 3 years tax returns,
Okay.
6 months of bank statements of all your liquid assets. They want you to use a majority of your liquid funds towards the down payment and closing costs.
What do you mean?
So, for example, let's say you have $100,000 in your account,
Okay.
right? They take $20,000 so you could keep as your reserves. And then you would have to use 80% of that $80,000 towards the down payment and or closing costs. They're going to
still take
force you.
115.
And you can still get the 115. Right. And then...
so basically, you could buy $1 million property, if I'm understanding you correctly. You know, 20% down is 200,000. You get 115, some change from the city. And then you use the remaining
80% of the balance, yes.
Got it.
The minimum down payment, however, on the MIPA, which the Dream did not have, is they want you to do at least 1% as your contribution to the down payment. So no matter how much money you're getting from them, they want 1% coming from your own money. It cannot be a gift. It cannot be anything.
Okay.
So it's kind of like shared.
But what I'm not understanding is that 1%, regardless, you said you have to allocate 80% of the funds in your account, right?
Right, but let's say you don't have $100,000. Let's say you only have $25,000. So you still need 1% as your contribution.
Makes sense.
So they're really trying to be partners with you in a different way.
They're trying to help the average person become a homeowner.
Exactly.
This is great because a lot of people, they have a great job. They make stable income, but they don't have the time to, not the time, it's the life, saving for a house, taking care of your family, your expenses. It gets
rent.
tough. The rent, it gets tough. So these programs that are out there, and there's a few other ones, but I think these are the most popular ones.
Yep.
They're there to help you become a homeowner. And
Exactly.
a homeownership is a long-term plan.
Yep.
That's when you went
Exactly.
long-term plan. Okay. Well, let's give some specific examples. Let's say someone's making $100,000. What do they qualify for?
So, presuming they have no debt,
Let's say they have no debt.
no debt at all, with a $100,000 income with 20% down payment, we're looking at somewhere around a $625,000 purchase price.
Purchase price.
Yes.
Okay. Well, what about someone making, I don't know, $150,000?
150, again, same thing, no debt, 20% down. We're looking at somewhere around $930,000
$900,000
of a purchase price.
Okay, and the average person, let's say the average person in our area will make anywhere between 100, say 200,000.
Yes.
Okay.
And somebody making around 200,000 is going to be somewhere around $1.25 million with 20% down.
Okay. So let's switch gears a little because I know insurance has played a factor in qualification lately because a lot of insurance companies are living in California, and the average viewer doesn't know much about this. So I really want to dive in. Like, talk to me about the insurance and how it's affecting your clients getting qualified for a loan.
Okay. So insurance, as you mentioned, like State Farm has left California for new policies. And a lot of other companies are either leaving or not insuring specific areas, specifically high brush areas.
Correct.
So it's making finding insurance for the clients extremely difficult. In addition to that, when they find an insurance, it's far more expensive than it was a year or two ago, which means their monthly payments are going higher, their debt to income is higher, their qualification becomes more difficult.
My insurance went up from like $2,400. I got the renewal due end of August, $3,100.
Same here.
Are you kidding me? You're $600-700 more
Like, for what? I'm still in the same house.
exactly.
I haven't found yeah, mine went up like around $500-600 too. That's crazy. But so I'm recommending everybody to look into it. There specifically is, I had a client from last year who called me around 8:39 2 days ago.
Okay.
Very unfortunate situation. Their house was on fire. Thank God, thankfully, that nobody was injured. However, their house, half the house is fully burned. And it was, we don't know the cause. I don't know the specific cause of it yet, but thankfully, they followed my recommendation. They called their insurance agent and confirmed that their policy is up to date. The square footages are correct. Their valuables were accounted for.
Wow.
And hopefully they are now in a position that they're fully covered of everything to the best that they can be. So I recommend that to everybody.
I appreciate you bringing that up because I've noticed in the past where the buyer wants the cheapest insurance rate, right? But I'm looking at the coverage policy, just the dwelling coverages. I'm like, God forbid if your house burns down, you're not going to be able to build it again, rebuild it. So make sure you have proper coverage. I think that's where we're going with this, right?
Exactly. Not just for the house, your personal belongings too. You know, you have to make sure that they're detailed up.
Well, I'm sorry that happened to your clients, but I'm glad that they had proper coverage.
And nothing happened to them, so blessings.
So we got a lot of great information out to to our viewers, and I appreciate that. Talk to me about rates, because everyone is scared of rates. They look online, they grab their phone.
First time I've heard of this question.
There's so much false information. The sky is falling, but let's be real. What do you think, as I know, as a professional, but your personal opinion, where do you think rates are headed in the next 6 to 12 months?
Right. Of course, there's no crystal ball, right? It's like the stock market. You don't know where it's going to be.
I was holding you.
Exactly. So that's my disclaimer, right?
Okay.
But our prediction is in the next 6 to 12 months, rates will be relatively the same, if not maybe a slightly higher.
Okay.
Probably in the next year or so, we're anticipating the rates to go down. That's what all the economists are saying. That's what the predictions are.
I think it will go down to the 5s, in my opinion, because it's election year. You gotta,
and it has to.
It has to, right? And then, what do you think is gonna happen to the market, though? I know what's gonna happen. I'm curious to know what you think.
Okay, so the market is a very tough question, but it's a very interesting one because we've never been in a time like this before. Because where typically speaking, it's a seesaw, right? Where rates go up, values go down, and vice versa. In this situation, over the last years, its rates have gone up and house prices have gone up due to lack of inventory.
Correct.
So no one wants to sell their house because they're in the 3s and the 4s or whatever. Yeah. So the inventory is still going to be low, is my assumption. So when rates drop, it's going to be a crazier market. So the few houses that are left.
Hear what I think is going to happen?
Yeah.
Personally. Okay.
Of course.
So the homeowner that has, as an example, they bought a starter home, 1,300 square foot home. They have a 2.5%, 3% rate. They don't want to sell. They're stuck, right?
Yeah.
But life is going to force them to change because as their families evolve, they need more space. So once rates go down to the 5s, in my opinion, I feel like that person, that individual will be like, you know what? Life demands that I get a larger space. They're going to sell. Inventory will increase. However, when rates do come down, because right now all the buyers are used to that 6s and 7s, more buyers are going to come into the market. So I feel like prices are going to go back up. I don't foresee our local market prices going down. I feel like when rates come back down to the 5s,
it's going to be a crazier market. A lot more people coming in.
True.
And don't forget, population is growing.
Yeah.
A lot of people are leaving California, but a lot of people are coming in, and the families are growing. The teenagers are now becoming adults, and they're starting their own families. So they're going to need those.
I always tell my clients, we're forgetting one segment, the millennials.
Yeah.
Husband and wife, if they're married, they both make decent income. They don't want to be paying $4,000 a month rent, $5,000, and rents are they're not cheap, and they're not looking like they're going to get cheaper anytime soon. So I feel like it's going to force them to buy a property. So at the end of the day, folks, you buy when you are comfortable. That's what I always tell my clients. When you buy a house, you're not living in between four walls. When you put your head down every night, you want to feel comfortable and you want to sleep in ease. So don't buy just because the Joneses bought a property. Buy when you feel comfortable. That's like 2 cents on that.
My advice is something personally. What happened to me is when I bought my house 10 years ago, it was at the max of my budget. It was top. But over the years, as you get older, hopefully you start making more money. You start adjusting and learning and investing. So that high payment will no longer be a high payment.
Right.
So I would say and recommend when you're ready to go in and know that it's going to be much easier in a few years.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate your time, my friend. I hope you guys enjoyed this segment. We try to provide as much value as we can, and I feel like these programs are there for you folks. So take advantage of it. Martin and Mike, get it listed, get it sold.